Hey people, it's nice talking. I'd like to share this with you because this is an interesting article I came across. So this is from The Guardian. Scientists use stem cells from frogs to build first living robots. Researchers foresee myriad benefits for humanity but also acknowledge ethical issues. Be warned, if the robots comes to pass, the apocalypse may be a more squelchy affair than science fiction writers have prepared us for. Researchers in the US have created the first living machines by assembling cells from African clawed frogs into tiny robots that move around under their own steam. One of the most successful creations has two stumpy legs that propel it along on its chest. Another has a hole in the middle that researchers turned into a pouch so it could shimmy around with miniature payloads. These are entirely new life forms. They have never before existed on Earth, said Michael Levine, the director of the Allen Discovery Center at Tufts University, Medford, Massachusetts. They are living, programmable organisms. Roboticists tend to favor metal and plastic for their strength and durability, but Levine and his colleagues see benefits in making robots from biological tissues. When damaged, living robots can heal their wounds. Once their task is done, they fall apart, just as natural organisms decay when they die. The unique features mean that future versions of the robots might be deployed to clean up microplastic pollution in the ocean, locate and digest toxic materials, deliver drugs in the body, or remove plaque from artery walls, scientists say. It's impossible to know what the applications will be for any new technology, so we can really only guess, said Joshua Bongard, a senior researcher on the team at the University of Vermont. The robots, which are less than 1 millimeter long, are designed by an evolutionary algorithm that runs on a supercomputer. The program starts by generating random 3D configurations of 500 to 1,000 skin and heart cells. Each design is then tested in a virtual environment to see, for example, how far it moves when the heart cells are set beating. The best performers are used to spawn more designs, which themselves are then put through their paces. Because heart cells spontaneously contract and relax, they behave like miniature engines that drive the robots along until their energy reserves run out. The cells have enough fuel inside them for the robot to survive for a week to 10 days before keeling over. The scientists waited for the computer to churn out 100 generations before picking out a handful of designs to build in the lab. They used tweezers and cauterizing tools to sculpt early-stage skin and heart cells scraped from the embryo of African clawed frogs, Xenopus laevis. The source of the cells led the scientists to call their creation xenobots. I always think this is funny. Are we going to find out in like 100 years this is how the xenomorphs came about? Anyway, let's keep going. Writing in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, the researchers describe how they set the robots loose in dishes of water to keep the frog cells alive. Some crept along in straight lines while others looped around in circles or teamed up with others as they moved around. These are very small, but ultimately the plan is to make them to scale, said Levine. Xenobots might be built with blood vessels, nervous systems, and sensory cells to form rudimentary eyes. By building them out of mammalian cells, they could live on dry land. Sam Cregan, a PhD student on the team at the University of Vermont, acknowledged that the work raised ethical issues, particularly given that future variants could have nervous systems and be selected for cognitive capability, basically thought processes, making them more active participants in the world. What's important to me is that this is public so we can have a discussion in society and policymakers can decide what is the best course of action. He was less concerned about xenothreats posing any threat to humankind. If you watch the video, it's hard for these to take over it's hard to fear that these things are taking over anytime soon. But the work aims to achieve more than just the creation of squidgy robots. The aim is to understand the software of life, Levine said. If you think about birth defects, cancer, age-related diseases, all these things could be solved if we knew how to make biological structures, to have ultimate control over growth and form. The research is funded by the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency's Lifelong Learning Machines program, which aims to recreate biological learning processes in machines. Half expected them to just call it Skynet. Let's keep going. Thomas Douglas, a senior research fellow at the Oxford Uehiro Center for Practical Ethics, said, "These are interesting ethical questions about the moral status of these xenobots. At what point would they become beings of interest that ought to be protected? I think they'd acquire moral significance only if they included neural tissue that enabled some kind of mental life, such as the ability to experience pain. But some are more liberal about moral status. They think that all living creatures have interests that should be given some moral consideration. For these people, difficult questions could arise about whether these xenobots should be classified as living creatures or machines." So there's some things that are in that. I mean, a lot of these things that you're hearing about were talked about in science fiction films. Like, if anyone's ever watched Alien 4 Resurrection, there's a piece where they say, oh, these are robots designed by robots. And this is the same thing, like these living tissue things were created by a supercomputer and then created in a lab. So basically, machines making machines. And the whole thing reminds me of the film Blade Runner. For anyone who's watched that, it's a great film, but there's many versions. And basically, it has biological robots which are made to do things like be warriors, employees, and serve in places that are too dangerous. And they have a kill limit, so like not a kill limit, a life limit. So they live to about 4 years and then they just pass away. Anyway, this is all very interesting, so I'm just going to leave this article in the description. Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. If you want to support this channel, leave my GoFundMe there. Yeah, leave my Instagram there as well if you want to follow me there. Peace.